What's good, everybody? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson back at it again with another interview here on the King Ghana channel. You brothers and sisters have been keeping me busy, but we are trying to bring you the best minds in the Pan-African world. And I have one of the brothers that I hold in great endearment to my heart. He's a strong brother, a great mind. He really can, as you know, I use the term build it up. He can swing the bat. And he is my good brother, the Afro Think Tank YouTube channel. Let me let him introduce himself by himself. Here, go ahead, brother.
What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank, and basically all I am is just a Pan-African in the truest sense of the word is. And Pan-Africanism is just Black people of African descent agreeing that we should work together economically and socially to better each other, you know, globally, no matter our different ethnicities, religions, or where we are geographically. It's just an agreement, right? It's like the same way the Europeans agreed to come, you know, and take all of our stuff and copy us. We should agree to take our stuff back and rebuild the same institutions that we built for the Europeans that we complain all the time. Oh, we built this, well, we can do it again. Let's just take that same, you know, mentality and just do it again. That's pretty much what I advocate. And I try to demonstrate throughout my life, man, examples on my channel, Afro Think Tank, and my other channel, African American Experience in Africa, where I demonstrate how a regular middle class, because you gotta have, money. If you ain't got no money, you can't do nothing. So you gotta, that's just true. You gotta keep it real.
That's true.
You know, you gotta be a middle class, a regular middle class, relatively smart individual with willpower can go to Africa individually. You don't need no groups. You don't need any of that stuff. You know, make friends, make relationships so you can establish yourself anywhere as long as you know how to be an ambassador for yourself. That's pretty much it.
All right. Give our brother a round of applause again. And I want to start with that because this is the first time you've been here on our channel. I believe the first time you were here maybe about a year and a half ago. Yeah. And there was a really good video talking about your experience in Nigeria. Now, for those people who don't know you, where are you from originally in the United States?
I'm from Washington, D.C., pretty much where the heart of the intelligent Black mind, Washington, D.C., Atlanta, you know, the Mideast area, you know, that's where we be at. Yeah.
Okay. So you're from there. Now, you did mention something that's very unique. You, like myself, we're both African Americans.
Yes.
And I lived in D.C. for quite some time, at least almost 15 years ago. I know that D.C. and Philly and New York share unique things, like there's a lot of Africans in DC mixed in with African Americans and Caribbeans.
Yes.
And there has been a lot of, if we can say, not a lot, but there's been some tension that has evidently been there between first generation, second generation, third generation Nigerian Americans and African Americans, especially in cities like DC, although you might not feel like it's that much, right? But obviously you can see there's enough for people to talk about it. So let me kind of talk about that experience. Do you feel that African versus African American tension in DC or you know, like in these cities like we see on the internet?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There's no issues between Africans, Caribbeans, African Americans. There's no issues. I think what we're getting mixed up is we're getting a class issue mixed up. You see, there's a clash issue that we never addressed in our community, in the Black community in America. The same people that's complaining that some arrogant Nigerian is looking down on them are the same Black person that says that Black guy from Montgomery County or that Black guy in the three-piece suit, that African American in a three-piece suit is also doing the same thing. There's a class issue. There's an upper class group of Black people. There's an upper middle class, and a lower class. And just like any other part of society in the world, classes tend to look down on the lower class. That's just how it goes naturally. And so if you're an African American, let's say you grew up in the hood, whatever, you American, you know, you from here, and here comes some Nigerian, he owns the shop, or here comes some Ethiopian, he owns a shop, and he's looking slightly down on you, or maybe he's the owner of the business, and he think he better than you, but he's a business owner. He's a business class individual. And you're not, right? So, and if he's able, if a foreign, people don't understand, if a foreigner's able to leverage themselves to come to America, that means that in their own country, they were already upper class. That means they were probably looking down on your equivalent over there, which would be the person that you normally, not you per se, but the average African American making that complaint, that person that they make fun of when they're trying to combat, that's your equivalent. So if you're in the hood and you're saying, oh yeah, well we did this and you guys are spear choking and you live in mud, well that's your equivalent over there, right? You just live in a concrete mud hut and they live in a dirt mud hut, but you guys are the same, right? And the people taking advantage of them and the people that's taking advantage of you are the same people, right? And people don't take that in consideration, right? So you're dealing with it's a class issue where clashing like that. Right, so people like Washington D.C. is a pretty, like is one of the insulated places for African Americans because we mostly work for the government via contractors, or we run the apparatuses that make the government work. People don't know that. Black folks, we run the government, right? All the administrative and a lot of the decision making is actually done by Black people, right? We make a lot of decisions here, whether you know it or not. And as we have an upper class, and some of those upper class, they don't even see those people in like the hoods, the ghettos and stuff like that. They don't see that. Just like the Nigerians who spend their hard-earned money coming here to establish themselves in America, which is difficult. They don't see those guys here that don't take advantage of the opportunities that they see that they have, that they had to fight to come over here to get. So that's all it is.
Okay, no, those are great points. So I know on the East Coast, I've seen like there's a little bit more continuity, maybe between those communities because they're so integrated, more or less. But the topic of this show is you've been living in what state in Nigeria? You're going back and forth there?
Edo Ekiti State. Ekiti State, yeah.
Edo State. Is Benin in Edo State?
Don't get me lying, man. It's over there somewhere. It's you mean the Kingdom of Benin is above? It's like right above it.
Benin City. I think Benin City is in Edo State. Yeah, it's in that state. Yeah. Okay. Shout out to Benin. I believe the Oba is in Benin. So let me ask you this, because you picked this particular region because there's a lot of play. I was in Lagos 5 months ago. Why did you pick this place and not Abuja and other spots?
Well, the reason why I picked this place is because with my genetic makeup, my DNA says I'm from this particular area, from the Kingdom of Benin. And the people, the Yoruba people and the Igbo people. Obviously, I look like an Igbo. I look straight like an Igbo. But a good majority of my DNA seems to land in that region. So I chose to, particularly for my own personal reasons, I feel like I'm reconnected. I'm on a personal journey to reconnect myself via my ancestors back to the land in which they did not make the choice to leave in the first place. So I chose to pick a rural place, a place that was slow moving, maybe not Lagos, because everybody goes to Lagos. Everybody goes to Accra, everybody goes to Lagos, everybody goes to DC, everybody goes to Manhattan. I like to go on an off-beating path where the regular folks who don't have a show me state or show me mentality, just living their lives. Right, yeah, that's what I like to do. So I established myself in the countryside. Also, I believe that my leverage, I keep telling people I'm not rich. I don't pretend to be rich. I'm not fake it till I make it. I'm real because I'm too lazy to be fake. So I just am. So, I know that's right. So because of that, I said, well, since I'm not rich and I pay recurring bills like everybody else, and if I miss a paycheck, I'm screwed. I said, let me go somewhere where I can leverage my money. So being from Washington, D.C., I grew up with Nigerians. I know Lagos is basically like D.C. People think Lagos is cheap. Lagos is cheap. The products can be cheap, but it still is expensive like any metropolitan area. So if you want to operate, you're still going to need a little bit more money, right? But I know if I go a little bit further out, maybe 4 hours out, I know that I can leverage my US dollar more in a place that I can, where my money goes far. Just like I can go to New York and I can live cheaper than I can living in DC. And a lot of people do that. So it's the same concept, just in another country.
Okay, great. So now you're getting ready to do something that's very unique to an African American in any place in West Africa or East Africa or Sub-Saharan Africa. You are about to do what? You're about to become what?
Okay, well, I'm about to be established into the oldest purely West African institution in the world, and that is the Yoruba Chieftain Institution. I'm being fully accepted. Now, listen to me, guys. High yellow African American guy, Black American, for all intents and purposes, FBA, me, this guy, is being fully 100% accepted into the traditional 100% Yoruba chieftain class as a 100% full-fledged participating member. Period. Full stop. Full acceptance.
Give him a round of applause. So let me just do that because, you know, brother, you have really, I said you're a powerful brother, and you have really tore down some of the stereotypes. You know, I've seen a whole lot of things that people saying that, you know, Africans do not like us. They're, even on the other hand, you know, you come to Africa, then they say you have too much privilege in Africa. Things are easier for you as African American, and Americans, Black Americans, saying they don't like us over there. And then when you come here, then the Africans complaining that, hey, you guys got too much privilege. You know what I mean? You have your way too easily. Right? It's damn if you don't. Right. So what does this mean for you and for some of the stereotypes that pretty much revolve around the African versus African American relationship?
I think I'm being a living example of that. A lot of the false narrative that we were purposely taught are false. I'm trying to live that because for years and years and years, we were told that Africans don't like us. And for years and years and years, Africans were told that African Americans don't like us, right? And we should get to a point in this discourse of the age of information where we understand the reason why we believe these false narratives, because there are people who have interest in us not uniting, right? And they've been lying to us for a very long time via our educational system, right? So since we know that when you lie to somebody and it causes them to have an effect, they're going to react a certain way. So if you get an continental African that has a stereotype about an African American and he projects that feeling, understand that feeling is not because he truly believes it, it's because he was taught that, right? So instead of shooting back with the same venom, you can take that moment, pause, and show him in real time that his thought process was wrong, that stereotype is wrong. Be an ambassador, right? So when you do that, 9 times out of 10, they'll stop and say, wow, I didn't know that because I thought that you were just like they say you were on TV. I don't know how many times throughout my life I've demonstrated the best parts of the African American culture throughout the world, and how many times people have come to me, white people, Asian people, every country I've been to, they have come to me and just thanked me for being a good ambassador for what an African American is, because they didn't know, because they thought we were what they saw on TV. Keep in mind, those Africans see the same stuff we saw. They saw Menace to Society. They saw all them black exploitation. You know, Mitch, that was the worst. That was probably the worst movie. Oh my God. Yeah, right? We saw those. You remember, everybody, y'all don't act like y'all don't remember those characters. Juice, all those movies that we glorify, the black exploitation. They were watching that. Not only did they idolize that, but their parents also thought that's who we were. And keep in mind, when you go to a different country, you have to play ball with their government. So if an African comes over here, they already think that you ain't this, you ain't that, because of what they've taught. When they go through the sifting system of the federal government, when those people have the opportunity to utilize institutionalized racism, it's an institution hidden behind plausible deniability of one single white person that may have a bias that would judge this way versus that. You can't prove it. That's what makes it so effective. Right? So when they get here, they got warned. They already have a predisposition of how they think you are. And then they get here and they got to play ball, or they're going to get their green card snatched. So they can't really be a social warrior justice for your cause, because if they do, then they got to kick back and they lose their leverage that they have. Right? And African Americans, we have to understand, if we're so proud about giving other people the opportunity to come here and thrive, then we have to allow them to do that and stop throwing it in their face. Because nobody wants to continue to have that thrown in their face. We should remind them and they should appreciate it. But we shouldn't be like that. That's not the end all be all. Like, oh, we did this for you. Okay, well, allow me to do it then. Right? Like everybody else. And that's what we're supposed to do as Black people, help and support each other.
So because you're able to do this, now people are going to want to know, because I've seen, and we're both in the Pan-African YouTube, Black YouTube space, you know. We know a lot of the YouTubers that are around. We're not so much of a big community in the diaspora space. You know, like you're in Nigeria. I've been in Uganda. You know, some brothers is going to different places. But when you talk about, people want to know, like, how did you do it? What steps did you have to go through to be accepted into this community? And how long did, you know, the process take for you to be able to be accepted into, you know, what you're about to get into now? Okay,
so first off, when you get off the plane, for anybody, I don't care what you've said, what you've heard. As soon as you get in Nigeria specifically, Nigeria is unique because most African Americans are by way of Nigeria. And the thing is, the most of the Nigerians that you've run into in America are usually just two tribes, the Yoruba and the Igbos, right? And some of them do have, yes, dark distinctive features that can look different from us. But there are hundreds, if not thousands, of other tribes within Nigeria that you don't see because a lot of their members don't have the leverage to come over here. And it just so happens they look exactly like you, exactly like me, right? So, and plus there's not that many Nigerians here. So our sample size of what we think a Nigerian looks like, very small. But when you get there, as soon as you get to Lagos, you'll be like, oh my God, yes, they lied to you, right? That's why when I hear the pretendians talk about it's just, if any pretending goes to Nigeria, they'll instantly unsubscribe from Dan Calloway's page, all right? Because they'll realize how stupid they've been this entire time. Nigeria is basically African Americans on steroids. It's us. That's where we come from. You can clearly, it's very evident. And as far as being accepted, you are accepted immediately. That's the thing. Immediately, Nigerians know that their family members were ripped from them and taken into the transatlantic slave trade. Because people always forget that when there's another story to the transatlantic slave trade, you got African Americans forget that there were families that was ripped. It wasn't just you being brought over here. You were being ripped from your mother, your father, your sister, your husband. You know, there are stories of families being taken advantage of by these very same people, by the very same European governments, right? And being ripped apart. And not only, it's not like they just took us and brought us over here and then left them alone. They were enslaved over there, right? While being ripped, by us being enslaved over here. So we always going through the same shit together. It's just some of us got on the boat and came this way and some stayed right there. They know that. The only thing is now that we're becoming into the age of information, we can start to put the pieces together. Europeans have spent a lot of time and effort making sure that we don't know because they know what's going to happen. They know what's going to happen when Nigerians and African Americans figure out who they each other are. You see what's happening when Ghanaians and African Americans start to figure out who each other are. It's happening all over Africa. Once we reconnect with our root, it's over, and they know it. And this is going to be the last time, more than likely, because we're at a point in our society where once African people gain that leverage, it's over for everybody. We have the numbers, we have the intelligence, we have the resources, and now the government are starting to put those financial pieces together individually within their own countries to to maintain their resources. And we, the diaspora, have the birthright to go and get it. So wasting time, me personally, wasting time worrying about the Orient or the Mideast or some desert, some place that's not even arid land, fighting about identity politics about who gets to be the leader of the desert up there in that area over there, when we got green, lush, fertile land for our people that is actually our birthright, right? That we can prove, not in a book, not in this book, but in real life, that it's ours. And the people there want us to come and get it and be and build and be married with them. You can't ask for anything better than that. Right. There's nothing, you can't ask for any other. These guys are over here in the Middle East, 3 groups fighting for a desert, and none of them agree that they need to be there. But us Africans have the most fertile land, the most valuable land on the planet, and the people there want us there. You can't ask for anything better than that. So you would have to be not to want to take advantage of that.
No, you're absolutely right. Let me kind of talk to you about this, because you're accepted immediately, but talk about the relationships in the things that you had to do on a daily basis.
Okay. Yeah, so
like that for people to listen.
It's kind of weird. How do I explain it? Okay, the little things that we do here, like all I did was I went there. I have business partners there. I'm not just by myself. You can't do anything by yourself. That's just number one. You have to establish community relationships. How do you for people who don't want to know, how do you do that though? Did you do this before you started, or? Just how I would if let's say I ain't know nobody, right? You don't know anybody at all, period. Okay. Just you. All right. First thing I would do, whatever country I was interested in, I will make a friend. For instance, Nigeria, I will make a Nigerian friend. preferably somebody who's a first or second generation who still has the connection there. You want somebody who maybe been to Nigeria a couple times or go every year. If you got a friend, a coworker, somebody who you can trust. If you can't trust a person, you stop right there. If you cannot, you don't go any further than that. You can't. Now, even if you trust somebody, obviously there's always risk and there's no guarantee with anything. So if you're not willing to lose, then you can't play, right? So, but you got to establish a friend and then go on a vacation. You go there first. Once you go there, they'll introduce you to the family. This is the most important part right here. They will introduce you to their family. If you can make a good impression and show that you're not, despite what I want you to go there and you just believe that everybody believes everything that you ever thought they believe of you, right? And then just go there with the mindset of proving them wrong completely, not with an attitude of protest, but with an example of the opposite, right? So you go there and you learn how to say their name. You learn how to say greetings, right? That is a big deal. That shows that you have enough respect for them to speak their language, even if you're just trying and you mess it up, it don't matter, right? Learn how to be respectful, right? So what I did was I actually just Googled it. I swear the internet's powerful. You Google how do you respect the elder? I have to start all over. How to respect a African elder, right? Where in Yoruba tradition, they have a posturing culture, is a way to prostrate. So I asked my Nigerian friends, how do I prostrate properly, right? What are the different ways to prostrate? What's the halfway, the full way, whatever? Who do I prostrate to, right? And then when you go there, whoever your handler is, your handler will be your trusted person. Once you meet the family, once they like you, you have access, and this is just true, you have access to everybody in the family. They will do, now keep in mind though, they are gonna believe you're rich, because keep in mind, they also believe that you're rich, right? Because you come from America. So you have to manage expectations. They'll go there acting like you Black Jesus, right? Keep it real, stay 100, but the truth is you will have more leverage to them and they're gonna recognize it, and just don't let them take advantage of you. Just like when you go to your auntie and them house down in the hood, they want you to go get this, get that, go buy this, go do this. It's the same thing over there, right? It's the same thing. It's the same family dynamic that you used to hear. Just add some African flavor to it, right? And more respect and culture to it. And that's what you got, right? Because the African family structure is set up the same way we're set up. It's just they have the culture to go with it. Big mama still big mama. Grandpop still grandpop. All right. The uncles are the uncles, the dad, the kids is all the same, right? So, but once you're in there, that's your family, and you stick with that family, and you be loyal to that family, and you take care. You scratch their back, they scratch your back, and you want to make it. You have to make a situation to where the family. I'm being careful with my word because I don't want to. The family it has to be a relationship of mutual benefit, meaning they will be loyal to you. They will do the things on your behalf as long as you're taking care of them and not taking advantage of them, right? And if you do that simple thing, it could be something small too. It don't even have to be big things. It could be something like, somebody's cell phone's broke and they need a new cell phone. Cell phones are everything. Cell phones are cheap, right? You give maybe a uncle or auntie $30, they go get a cell phone so they can continue to conduct their business of the day. They will appreciate it. Listen, appreciation works over in Africa. We may not have any appreciation in America for anything anybody does, but in Africa, appreciation means something. Your word means something. That means your word has value. That means when you say something, you're going to do something and you actually do it, that has value, right? So I went there and I said I built the house, right? And I knew that by building this house and with it continuously, meaning not to stop or take my time, I knew I would be employing people. So I built my house, I did it straight. And then I kept doing projects around my house and I kept doing things, keeping the same people employed. So I have my adopted family and I will employ the same contractors. That's how we get contractors who trust the family, because that is all about who you know. It's always going to be about who you know, right? So you take your American leverage, you take your ambassadorship, and in your connections, you connect with the family, establish a trusted relationship. Still risky because people get screwed all the time, right? But that's what you got to do. And then through the family, you'll get the good carpenters. You'll get the good masonry. You'll get the guy that want to sell you something just because they know that you are a possible opportunity. So that's how I do.
So let me ask you this: like in the day-to-day, like interactions, because they wanted you to become a chief for certain reasons. What was the reasons that they gave you that they wanted you to become a chief?
Okay, so the reason why they want me to become the chief in Europe, and I will probably get this wrong because I'm not an expert on all the traditions or the qualifications, but usually you have to be a person of note, meaning you have to be somebody who has demonstrated integrity, right? You have to have demonstrated leadership and integrity, right? And contributed to the community in some form or fashion, right? Or you can't just be somebody of note, if you ain't doing no, nobody cares. So you basically, to be a chief, you have to be respected. If nobody respects you, because you can have money and nobody respects you, right? So, but if you're doing stuff, like if you do small and helpful things, or if you improve the community, or they see you're a pillar of the community, they will elevate you because they want you to be a part of their chieftain class, because it's a real class. People think that they have these jokes about, Nigerian prince, blah, blah. But no, some of these dudes really be Nigerian princes. Right? Like, so when you got these guys joking around, they be really Nigerian princes. It's just whether they're rich Nigerian princes or poor ones, because the system over there, some of these people are rich, some of them are not, right? It all depends on how their situations have panned out in the past couple hundred years.
So integrity was one of them. And then what was some of the other ones?
What can you bring to the community? Are you a benefit to the community? Because they're not gonna just make you a chief just for fun. So let me ask you this:
what were the things you were bringing to the community, like when you were coming?
So what I did was I brought So I noticed that in my area, I would go get stuff to drink and stuff, and I noticed that I couldn't find anything cold to drink at all. Right? I'm like, why can't I find anything cold to drink? I see these people don't drink cold anything, right? And they're just fine drinking their warm products and beers and stuff like that. I said, well, how come nobody got a freezer and just hooked it up and did this? Well, some people just didn't have the money, right? They can't leverage their business because they don't make enough to throw back into the business because they got bills to pay. But I can do that. So I opened up a store and I started bringing refrigeration to the area. So now people can drink. So now people are drinking cold drinks, right? So now I said, okay, well, what else can I do? Then also I noticed, I said, well, there's a whole lot of old people in these villages everywhere. And there's a lot of old chiefs. I mean, old, these people, old, and they live forever. I don't know what they doing, but they live forever. And they're just walking up and they ain't got nothing to do. And I'm like, I wonder if I can, because I really respect my elders. And I always think that if you can make it to be an elder, you deserve to have a peaceful and enjoyable life for the remainder of your life. You enjoy that, right? So I said, let me make a place where they can just sit and chill and listen to their type of music, not Afrobeat, not whatever I want to listen to, something that they want to listen to, that they like, their old time music. So I opened up a bar for the men and for the women. Theirs usually for the men, and the women go with their husbands, but for the men, so I got them a place they can drink. I got them a place where they can sit under the shade. I provided shade. I give them, and then I said, okay, what else can I do? And I said, because keep in mind, I'm still making money. I'm not just doing this for free, obviously, but I'm saying, what can I do to make money, but also benefit the community? Because my mind's always on the community because it's a community thing, right? So I said, well, what else can I do? I said, well, there's power issues here, right? Just like any place, a lot of places in Africa. I said, well, how can I make it so people don't have power issues when they come to my bar and sit in here and chill? I said, okay, so I'm going to provide solar power for my bar, which is right next to my shop. They said, I'm going to provide solar power. I'm going to get these 2 generators, and I'm going to do this so that when people can come, they can drink, have a cold beer, and now they can keep their phones charged up so they can conduct their business while they sit there and do their thing. So then I would add more. I said, well, what else can I do? I said, well, you know what people need to do? They need to eat. I said, can I, maybe I can provide some food. What kind of food can I provide so they can drink have their cold drinks and sit here under the bar, under the shade, and do this? So I just continue to compound more solutions to any issues that I see, like Monopoly. Like literally, I'm playing Monopoly in real life, right? I'm playing Farmville in real life. Then I said, okay, well, if I'm renting this area, I said, I have enough money, I can establish myself somewhere else. But I said, I'm going to rent from these people simply because if I don't rent from these people, nobody else is going to rent from these people. I said, let me rent from these people simply because I want to put money in their hand. And then let me renovate the area at which I'm renting, right? For free, right? It's not like, and so I started fixing the roof on the buildings that I rent. I added extra footage to the stuff. So I put lights and I paint, and so I beautify the place, so make it so people want to come. Then I say, what else can I do? So then I find out stuff like they be having like a lot of parties, like they party a lot. So I said, okay, well, can I throw a party? So then I say, well, how much does it cost to hire a DJ, right? And then a local DJ. So maybe I can put money in the local DJ's pockets. The same way we used to have block parties here. You would call, your homeboy who was the DJ, and he would get paid for the night, and they would throw the block party. I throw the DJ, right? So now I got the DJ. I got a whole live band, right? I got the bar. Now I'm throwing parties. I'm starting to throw parties during major events at the place, and everybody's coming. So now I've established myself to the point I got kings, right? There's two kings that's relatively close to each other. That's like, man, this guy, they come by and they'll do the parades of wreaths, and they'll come by and they'll stop and they'll pray at my shop, and they'll pray for my employees, and they'll pray for me because they appreciate that I'm bringing things to the community, right? And that's just what I do on a business tip. But then what's gonna end up happening, which is because you're connected with the family, things are gonna happen within the family, right? When you have money and if you're the head, if you're a true leader, people are gonna come to you when they need help. And if they believe that you can do it, they're not going to have no shame not to come ask you, especially when you clearly are parading around like you have means, right? So sometimes things will happen like this. One time a guy, it was a employee of mine, brother's like uncle or something. He's a hunter. And something happened with the gunpowder and he blew his hand up, right? The hand was blown up, right? And if that were to happen in America, we would just go to the hospital, get it fixed, and deal with that bill later, right? But over there, sometimes if you ain't got money, it's literally you ain't got the money. You can't even buy the material you need to do what you need to save your life. So I was like, well, how much could that possibly be? Because we know how cheap it is to do at least some of that stuff, right? It was like something stupid. It was like $100 and something. I said, nobody. In my mind, I'm thinking, nobody got $100. Y'all can't get $150, nigga. But then in my mind, I'm thinking, well, $150 over there in a village is like $1,500 in the hood over here. It ain't just so easy to collect together, right? So I was like, well, I got that. What was I gonna do with that? Buy an Xbox game or something? Go waste it on something I ain't need? So I shoot it over there, not thinking of it, nothing of it, right? So now the guy's life is saved. As far as they're concerned, I saved this guy's life because he could have got it. Another thing, Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast went to Africa and he paid for a whole bunch of people to fix a simple cataract surgery. I've done that myself. Of course, they came to me. I noticed that one of the elders, one of the chiefs I really respect over there was having vision issues. And I was like, I didn't know how bad it was because they was hiding it from me because men are prideful. They don't want to say anything, right? But when I found out, I was like, well, how much does that cost? $400. Well, that's nothing. What was I going to do with just $400? Oh, I was going to go waste it on that, this, that, and that. Oh, how about I go do that, right? So I just shoot it over there, thinking nothing of it. Went over there, I just gave this man his sight back, right? And everybody's appreciative. The whole village praying for me simply because I do that. And I'm not doing it. And you see, when I do stuff like that, I don't go take my camera, go on YouTube. And
preach, brother.
I don't do that. I literally do that with my constant heart because I'm an empathetic. I enjoy. What I get out of it? Other people's happiness makes me happy. That feels good. Like you can go by. Think about this real quick. I'm a long-winded guy. All right,
yeah. Pro blacks are always long-winded.
Right. We So when you go and you go buy those Jordans and you go buy that Bacardi, that bag, right? And you go buy and you go ball and you go on Instagram, you take those pictures and you get validation from people online. The reason why people go buy these overly expensive things that they know are not even worth what they bought, they buy it because of the price. They buy the bag because it's $2,000, not because of the material. They buy it because simply they're buying the price tag because they want people to see, look, I can afford this. That's why I got it. And you're jealous because I got it. Validation, endorphins released, right? But then 2 weeks later, right, you get tired of that bag. It goes in the closet, and you don't never see it again, right? So you spent all that money. You spent all that money to make yourself feel good temporarily. So take that same concept, right? So instead of me taking that $1,500 to buy my bag, to let everybody see that I can afford this $1,500 bag, what if I take that $1,500, go over there, buy a plot of land, right? Put a well on it, put a daggone a pump on it and provide fresh water for some random kids just so they don't have to drink water out of palm water. People would get water. I would feel good about that, and endorsements relief. So the same money, different thing, same effect. But at least by doing this, I'm benefiting other people. That bag don't benefit nobody.
Right. And so let's talk about briefly, because now I know you have several things. Do you still have the shops going right now?
Yeah, I was going right now. So I got the shop is expanding. I have my bar has been expanding. I have another shop that I rented on the same block. You know how they say buy the block? I literally buy up the block, right? So if there's something comes available, I'll try to buy it, right? And then turn it into something. But now I want to pivot because ultimately I want to get into grocery stores. I want to start doing that, right? I want to start manufacturing because I believe by doing that, I can provide jobs because I want to be a solution. There's so many problems. I want to be a solution to those problems because every solution is money, right? And if I can provide a solution, make money, solve and provide jobs, that's a win-win-win for everybody. For instance, because I got to give examples because you got a lot of people they'll talk and never give any real tangible examples you can grab onto and understand. So let's say, let's talk about cassava. All right, or the yam, right? It's the thing we're familiar with. Caribbeans eat it, we eat it. Well, over there in Nigeria and pretty much West Africa, that's a very abundant crop, right? We know that cassava itself can be turned to flour, right? Let's just look at that one product, flour. So my question is, well, what do I need to turn cassava into flour? Because what happens is the Indian and the Lebanese and the European goes to Africa, grabs the cassava, right, that the African grew, right, in abundance, and they take it and they go do something with it, and then they bring it back, packaged, and they resell it to them, right? The same way they do us, right? So my thing is, I want to be the guy who goes in there with the cassava, stays there, do something with it, packages it, and then sell it, right? Full circle. So what equipment do I need to turn cassava into flour? And then after I turn that cassava into flour, what equipment do I need to bag it and label it? And then what's the process of getting that into a store, right? Oh, by the way, I got my own store, right? You see how that works? It's about steps. I have a store. So that means anything I want to sell now, I already have a place to sell it. I can sell anything. Like I have a place to where if I put it there, somebody's going to buy it. So that means all I have to do is expand what it is that I sell. But let's say I make the cassava, right? So I buy a machine that turns into cassava flour. So let's say I got 4 people working for me, right? So now I can provide 4 jobs because I can afford to pay these 4 people because of my leverage of my US dollar. I can afford to pay these 4 people to produce this amount of cassava or yam flour per month. And then I'm going to sell it. Once I figure out my profit margins, then I say, okay, once I make a certain amount of money, I'm going to buy another machine and duplicate that again. So now I just created 8 jobs, right? So now I got 8 people working for me. I'm going to duplicate that again, 16, 32, right? And before you know it, this always takes time and patience. It's not a race. This is not Instagram, right? It's not instant. You can't pass, go and collect. You have to go through the steps and it may take a while. But before you know it, if you're consistent and you're disciplined and you don't try to spend money and ball out and you just really enjoy the process, before you know it, 5-10 years, you can have a multi-billion-dollar corporation producing billions of tons of freaking cassava flour, for the international community. You have a ready-made market. People got to eat. So that's my thinking. So I'm not thinking about enriching myself. I'm thinking about how can I enrich my future offspring while improving the people in my community at the exact same time and enjoying the journey.
Like social entrepreneurship is what they call the term. Right. Okay. Well, brother, I know that I have to wait a long time to get a hold of you, brother. And you're going to Nigeria. Is it next week? Yeah.
Next week. I'm headed out next week.
You be there for a month?
Yeah, about 6 weeks. I got a lot of things to do, a lot of exploratory things to do. Plus, I need a vacation in between there because, sometimes going to Africa is not actually a vacation. You're doing more work there than you do back home. So
let me ask you a question because Ghana is nearby, right? Mm-hmm. And there are other countries. Let's say if you didn't want to go to Ghana, that even though you went to Nigeria, were there any other countries that you thought about besides going to Nigeria to make yourself home, or did you ever come to the idea like, well, I've seen this, I like this, but let me try something else?
Yeah,
What country was that?
Well, actually, it was Uganda. No, but it was Uganda. It was you. I swear. That's the funny part. It was Uganda, Rwanda, that whole area down there. Because I see it. I can see it. I see what's coming, and I want to be a part of it. But I know, me being only one person, I can only do one thing at a time, at a time. And that's I wish I can.
Love to have you down here, brother. Whenever you decide you want to come.
Hey, when I get a chance, I'm coming down there.
Yeah, we definitely can get you.
Yeah, I'm definitely coming. Yeah,
he just left. He's here for a month. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So West Africa, my whole area, I feel like for the Bantu, African American, West African, honestly, for us, as far as culturally, as far as how we mesh with the culture, I think West, Central, Eastern Africa, like that, the places we are in now, all these countries fit us mostly. I say Gambia, Ghana, Nigeria, Namibia, Rwanda, like that. All of those areas, Central, West Africa, Southern Africa is our area of operation. To be honest, I think that's our best. I think you can succeed in any one of these countries the exact same way, because they're all pretty much, we know they're all pretty much the same, minus the different clans and tribal cultural differences. They're all pretty much consistently similar, very similar, enough to operate.
All right, brother. So one last question for anybody who's interested in the Afro Think Tank YouTube channel or subscribing. Why should they subscribe to you, brother?
Well, if you're into intelligent conversations, if you're into tangible movements, because I'm a very long-winded, articulate individual. If you're into like mostly just drama, I'm not for you, right? Because I value my subscribers and we communicate and talk like adults, right? So if you're into looking for real Pan-African stuff, talking about actually doing something, and people who are going to show you and not just try to say, hey, for only, for this super chat or for this thing to try to goat money out of you. If you're looking for a real person, I'm the type of person you want to pay attention to. So if you want to find me, you can find me at Afro Think Tank. If you want more of the African concentrated stuff, you can find me at African American Experience in Africa channel. That's the one that won't get, demonetized, because I'm not going to say anything crazy over there. But Afro Think Tank, I don't know that I done said some stuff. Hey.
So he's a powerful brother. Like I said, this is the first step, to become a chief is a huge thing, especially for, an African American. I know a lot of times, there was a chief that got made, I believe it was a Chinese guy that got made chief in Ghana, and then people were criticizing it. But from one of our people from our community, we will say congratulations. It's going to just continue to bridge the gap between us and the continent. And there's just so much, I was interviewing Brother Tim Swain, and I asked him, I said, brother, what would you say to people who are skeptical about, well, we got so many problems in the black world, in African American community or Black America, that we shouldn't focus on Africa? And he said something very profound. He said we can do both, and that is absolutely true. I think brothers like yourself who are going out and giving information on new opportunities, a way to work with different people that have talent in that region, and so that we can edify their community. Same thing I've done here in Uganda, man. A lot of African Americans have benefited from the Ugandans because we have started to work together and bring in solutions together, and it's enriched like my life. My mom's life has benefited. The people that have partnered with me have benefited. I met a brother today. Shout out to the brother Greg over at Value Farm, and he was just telling me, he's one of the biggest goat growers in Uganda, and he was like, look, if it wasn't for your channel, man, I would have never even thought about coming there. And he's doing a awesome job over on that channel. Is over 150,000 subscribers, almost close to. So he's doing a great job. He's African American from New York, African American and Haitian. So I just really appreciate you, brother, for bridging the gap. And all you're doing is just gonna bring more opportunities for all the Black world. And like I said, I'm really excited about the Africa Free Trade Agreement.
Yes.
Yeah, I know it's gonna take some time. I'm always, I'm seeing who's ratifying it, and and once we have that, we have the greatest diaspora on planet Earth, man.
Yes,
we have the biggest diaspora. We'll be the biggest trading bloc, And then we have African Americans that have skills, Nigerian Americans that have skills. We have everybody that have skills. And man, we just the sleeping giant in the world, man. And once we can get it on the right path, man, it's over. You know, it's over in many different ways. So I thank you for coming on, brother. Any last words you want to say?
All I want to say is this, man. I know that we Black folks, you know, we're very sensitive and we fight all the time, right? And I just want you to guys sometimes to step out of yourself and just take a look at how we do fight all the time because we're so similar, right? So despite what some Nigerian or a Ghanaian or what a Kenyan or what a African American say, that's just us being who we are, right? But despite us fighting in the house, we got to make sure we protect our house from those that want to do us harm. And we can fix all of our collective and individual problems by working together. That's the answer. By all of us, despite our historical differences, we need to forgive ourselves the same way we forgive everybody else that has historically done us harm.
Yeah, and we can solve most of those problems almost overnight. I mean, if we were really like 99% of those problems, or at least 90% of those problems could be solved very quickly. And it's scary, man. I have the Pan-African dating show, and we just started to get some people over there. And when you look at Africa, man, I was afraid to even bring my podcast to Accra. I'm gonna tell you why. I'm afraid that it's gonna do so well out there in that market that I won't have time to do nothing else. That is how scary the Black world is. And I'm talking about the opportunities. One of the things I always tell people I never have to worry about dealing in the Black world is money. I never have to worry about money. If we could just get the brothers and sisters on the right page. If money is a problem, we don't have to worry about that because money is already there. That's the last thing we worried about in the Black world. We have the greatest trading bloc. We will be the biggest trading bloc on planet Earth. Period.
Right.
With one of the richest diasporas on planet Earth. Period. So the money is already there.
Right.
It's the mindset that we're trying to get through because, we got a lot of brothers and sisters that's and I was one of them, and God ain't through me yet. But, once we get with these brothers and sisters in the Black world and let them understand what's available out there, how we can add value to each other, man, this thing is going to the roof, man. So I thank you so much, brother. Sorry that had you waiting over at the African party, brother. In Ramadan, is the brother wouldn't stop. He was doing his call out and everything. So thank you guys. I'll leave his information first come at the top. We out. Peace.
All right.